Russian president talking about this. Crazy.
Right. And there have been other Russian officials that come out and say, yeah, we've got people studying the UFO questions. So, no doubt that these incidents have happened all over the world.
All over the world. You have a Russian general, Vasily Alexeyev, coming out in a German magazine in 2000 saying this stuff. And then the one of my favorite ones is there's Marconi, this radio engineer, famous radio engineer. So he is rumored to be part of, this Majestic 12 equivalent, quote unquote, in Italy called the RS-33. I don't know if you remember this. I met you briefly at the San Marino event, which is this global UFO conference held there in Italy. And so you have Roberto Pinotti and other guys, Paolo Guzzardi, who do research on this out there.
Yes.
And Marconi's grandson, in an interview that's video, everybody can see the video of this. He's speaking to Ogo magazine, which is, I guess, their People magazine equivalent. So it's sort of a gossip magazine. But he says, yeah, my grandfather had a lot to do with the UFO and ET issue. He's a part of this select committee with, why am I blanking on the
Mussolini?
Yeah, there you go. He was part of a select committee with Mussolini to study this stuff. And so it's just fascinating.
This was the Magenta crash, Magenta, Italy.
In 1933.
You mentioned Roberto Pinotti. He just finished a book about the Magenta crash and shows documentation that, it really did happen. Marconi, who invented radio, was assigned by Mussolini to head up the group that would investigate this and study the craft, etc. And that craft it's reasonable to see where that craft was taken to Germany, to Nazi Germany, where studies were done with that craft. In fact, Werner von Braun, who we know was later taken under, taken back to the U.S. after World War II under Operation Paperclip, right? And he worked on the Apollo program. He knew a lot of the astronauts. He used to have astronauts over to his house on weekends for barbecues. And in fact, Gordon
Cooper
wrote a book. And in that book, he talks about von Braun telling him that they actually worked on UFO craft in Germany, in Nazi Germany.
Wow.
And actually had a flying model.
That is fascinating. I didn't know that Gordon Cooper wrote that. That's really amazing.
Absolutely. And
wow, I got to check that out. That's wild.
Yeah, you get a hold of his book. I forgot the name of the book, but he did write it in there. So chances are, the back engineering of UFOs goes way back.
That is fascinating. Gordon Cooper is no scrub. He spent more time in orbit than anybody before him as an astronaut as part of the Mercury missions.
Right.
These were before the Apollo missions. That's amazing. I didn't know that. I got to research. That's fascinating.
Look into it.
I will. Yeah, because Werner von Braun pops up in these stories. Edgar Mitchell says that he, comes to him and says, he has knowledge of this stuff. And apparently he was involved in Edgar Mitchell actually doing these sort of remote viewing parapsychology experiments, in space and stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's tangential there, all these anecdotes, but that's maybe the most interesting anecdote of them all, that he said he was directly involved in reverse engineering craft.
Right.
Fascinating.
In fact, other of the paperclip scientists from Nazi Germany confirmed this. Again, during these weekend meetings with some of the astronauts.
Well, Werner von Braun's mentor is a guy named Hermann Oberth. And Hermann Oberth is on video speculating about UFOs. He says, the existence of UFOs should make anybody question reality. And then he talks about, time manipulation involved in UFO travel, and he was openly very interested in this stuff. So, and then he actually, as part of Paperclip, comes to the U.S. to work as part of Conveyor Bell as well. So, yeah, it's fascinating. How do you evaluate? Because you obviously are very high conviction on your own